Welcome back to our story corner. Today we're blasting off on an incredible adventure with our favorite space explorers. Are you ready? Let's begin. Captain Nina adjusted her special captain's hat, her ginger fur glowing softly in the lights of the cockpit. Her spaceship, the Stardust cruiser, gently slowed its engines as it approached a new, shimmering world. Nina squinted at the holographic map glowing in front of her. According to the map, she announced with a confident smile, this planet is called Bridgia. Next to her, Zog, her small, springy alien companion, pressed his green nose right up against the main viewport. His wide eyes grew even wider. Wow, Nina, look, the bridges are floating. And they were. It was a spectacular sight. All around the planet, stretching across vast canyons and over fluffy pink clouds were long, elegant bridges. They weren't fixed in place like bridges on Earth. Instead, they drifted through the clear blue air, gently moving from one floating island to another. Small, colorful creatures walked carefully across them, their tiny feet pattering on the smooth surfaces. They would wait for a bridge to drift close, then gracefully hop from one to the next, continuing their journeys across the sky. It was like a beautiful, slow-motion ballet in the atmosphere. The whole planet seemed to hum with a peaceful, harmonious energy. It was a planet unlike any they had ever seen before. Zog bounced on his seat, unable to contain his excitement. Can we go down there, Nina? Please? I want to try walking on a floating bridge. Captain Nina chuckled. Of course, Zog. Let's find a safe place to land and say hello. She expertly guided the Stardust cruiser towards a small, stable-looking island covered in soft, mossy grass. But just as she was preparing for a landing, a loud, jarring sound echoed through the air. Crash! One of the longest, most beautiful floating bridges suddenly shuddered violently. It tilted, wobbled, and then, with a heartbreaking groan, it dropped from the sky, disappearing into the thick layer of clouds far below. Gasps of shock and fear rippled through the air. On a nearby island, a group of small blue furry creatures huddled together, their big eyes filled with worry. Oh no! One of them cried out, its voice trembling. That was the main bridge. Now we can't reach our homes. The little ones are waiting for us. The peaceful harmony of Bridgia was shattered. Confusion and sadness spread across the floating islands as the creatures looked at the empty space where their path had been. Seeing the distress, Captain Nia didn't hesitate for a second. Hold on, Zog. We're going in. She landed the ship swiftly on the mossy island, the landing gear sinking softly into the ground. The ramp lowered with a quiet hiss, and Captain Nina and Zog rushed out to help. What happened? Nina called out to the distraught blue creature, her voice calm and reassuring. The creature pointed a trembling finger towards a dark rocky plateau on a neighboring island. Just then, a grumpy-looking rock-shaped alien stomped forward from behind a large boulder. He was short and wide, made of gray, jagged stone, and had a permanent frown etched onto his face. With every heavy step he took, the ground shook slightly. I am Grumble the Shaker, he announced in a deep, gravelly voice that rumbled like shifting stones. He stomped his foot hard on the ground again, and another, smaller bridge nearby wobbled dangerously. When I stomp, the bridge is full, he declared with a strange sort of pride. The small creatures all took a step back in fear. Zog, always curious, bounced a little closer to the rocky alien, tilting his head. That doesn't sound very helpful, he observed, his voice full of innocent confusion. Why would you want to make the bridges full? Everyone needs them. Grumble crossed his thick, stony arms over his chest, his frown deepening. Humph! No one invited me to help build the bridges, he grumbled, his voice low and resentful. They all worked together, soaring through the sky with their fancy tools, fitting all the pieces in place. But they never asked me. They just looked at my big stumpy feet and moved away. So, if I can't build with them, I'll shake them instead. He kicked a loose pebble, sending it skittering off the edge of the island. It was clear he was more hurt and lonely than truly mean. Captain Nina walked slowly towards Grumble, her steps quiet and gentle. Instead of scolding him, she knelt down, bringing herself to his level so she could look him in the eyes. Her expression was kind and understanding. "I see," she said softly. "It feels bad to be left out, doesn't it?" Grumble just grunted and looked away, but Nina continued. "Everyone belongs somewhere, Grumble. And everyone has a unique talent. Shaking things can be destructive, but maybe, just maybe, it can also be useful." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Would you like to help us fix the bridges? We could really use your help." Grumble looked up, completely surprised. His stony eyebrows shot up. He stared at Nina for a long moment, then at Zog, who was nodding encouragingly. "Fix them?" he mumbled, his gravelly voice much quieter now. "With you? No one's ever asked me that before. They've only ever told me to stop stomping." A tiny crack appeared in his grumpy exterior. For the first time, someone saw him as more than just a problem. They saw him as a potential partner, and so an unlikely team was formed. Together, Captain Nina, Zog, and their new friend Grumble got to work. It was a brilliant plan. Zog, with his incredible, springy legs, was perfect for the first part of the job. He would bounce high into the air, all the way down into the clouds, and use his strength to lift the fallen bridge sections. He'd push them up, back into the clear sky. "Got one!" he'd shout, his voice echoing as he guided a huge piece of the bridge upward. Once a piece was high enough, Captain Nina, using a small anti-gravity device from her ship, would carefully guide it into its correct position. "A little to the left, Zog. Perfect. Now, hold it steady," she would instruct, her focus absolute. She was like the conductor of an orchestra, making sure every piece fit perfectly. Now, it was Grumble's turn. This was the most important part. Nina explained the plan. "Grumble, when the bridge is in place, we need a special kind of stomp. Not a big, angry stomp that breaks things, but a small, firm, gentle stomp. Just enough to create a vibration that will lock the bridge connectors together." Grumble listened intently, his expression serious. He had spent his whole life stomping in anger, but now he had to learn to stomp with purpose. He took a deep breath, concentrated, and then, thump, he stomped gently. A low hum vibrated through the bridge section, and with a satisfying click, the connectors locked firmly into place. It worked. Grumble's eyes widened. He did it. He helped. A wave of excitement ran through him. They worked like this for hours. Zog would lift, Nina would guide, and Grumble would stomp, each one playing their part perfectly. Bridge by bridge, the path across the sky was restored. Soon, all the floating bridges were safely back in their places, drifting peacefully once again. The small blue creatures and all the other inhabitants of Bridgia watched in amazement. When the final piece clicked into place, a massive cheer erupted from all the islands. They clapped and waved, their happy voices filling the air. Standing amongst his new friends, Grumble looked at the secure, beautiful bridges floating in the sky. He looked at the happy creatures waving at him. And, for the very first time anyone on Bridgia could remember, Grumble smiled. It was a wide, wonderful, rocky smile. "You know," he said, his voice no longer grumpy but filled with pride, "I think I like building things much better than breaking them." As Captain Nina and Zog prepared to leave, the creatures of Bridgia showered them with thanks, offering them sparkling sky crystals as gifts. Grumble walked with them to the Stardust cruiser. "Thank you," he said to Nina. "You showed me my stomps could be useful." "You just needed a team," Nina replied warmly, patting his rocky shoulder. As the spaceship lifted off and soared back into the stars, Zog pressed his nose to the window again, waving goodbye to their new friend on the island below. "We made another friend, Nina," he chirped happily. Captain Nina smiled, gazing out at the endless expanse of space. "That we did, Zog," she said. "Because in space, just like on Bridgia, teamwork and kindness always build the strongest bridges." And that's the end of our adventure for today. What a wonderful reminder that everyone has a special talent and a place where they belong. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to fly back for our next story. Until then, keep exploring.